Hello and welcome to Planet Zoo. My name is Plunko and today I thought it'd be a fun idea to tour through all of my zoos. I have them all saved since like the very first one that I made, so it's like a cool idea to like look through them all and see how my like building and technique has improved over each zoo and how my kind of style has evolved. Let's see here, looking for I don't have the best like naming convention. I'm kind of not very creative when it comes to fun names, so my first zoo is literally just called Plunko's First Zoo. But let's hop into there and check it out, see how it is. It's actually been quite some time since I've looked through like all of my older zoos, so it'd be kind of fun to like remember how bad I was at this game and then have kind of like improved over the months of playing. Let's get to the entrance. There we go. Let's get it daytime. We get some nice sun. We can see what we're looking at. But yeah, this is the first zoo that I made, and I will say that I watched a lot of like YouTube videos and looked at a lot of like different pictures to kind of get ideas. Because I had no idea like how to kind of design stuff in this game because it is like very daunting with how complex the building is. So one thing that kind of helped me a lot was I would find like videos people making things online or like images and I'd try to like recreate them and then look at their kind of like techniques and style, and that kind of helped me like get a foundation um to kind of learn like how to actually like make good looking things. um I will say like when I first started I use a lot of prefab buildings, so you can see like this little like food court area. We just have like the prefab, like kind of Planet Zoo shop shells. But here is the first habitat. In here, I have a whole bunch of what are these? Galapagos giant tortoises. There's a lot of little babies running around in here. Um, yeah, this is kind of interesting one because I like how it has like a pathway going all around it. Not the most perfect circle. I don't know, it's kind of challenging to make, but I do kind of like this like shape of habitat. And then I was kind of messing around with like rocks. I think this is where like my love of rocks in this game like first started. So you'll see a lot of like rocky habitats from here on out. But I kind of wanted to like not just rely on the like standard barriers and like learn how to make my own like custom like fencing and barriers because I saw people do that online. So we have kind of like this rocky like rocky glass with kind of like rock sections like built into the habitat to kind of form the walls. So pretty good, pretty standard. Not a whole lot of like plants, a couple trees, pretty basic, but I still really like it though. It's like I've had like very fond memories of like making this because I think when I made this habitat I was like, okay, like I'm starting to really kind of understand like how creative and like unique you can be with this game. So looking very good. Over here, oh yeah, I saw some, a lot of people do like kind of habitats like sunken into the ground. And even if you go to like kind of real life zoos, you'll see this a lot too, where the habitat's kind of like lowered into the ground. You have like an elevated viewing experience for it. So lots of pigs, a very fun animal to have. They're very chaotic. They run around a lot and like jump off of rocks and kind of like zoom around everywhere. So very fun to watch. But yeah, this is like a very challenging habitat. I think I did like two sets of barriers. Like there's a barrier down here and then this barrier right here. I don't think I was very knowledgeable in using like null barriers yet, so I don't know, it's kind of like a weird way of doing this, but nonetheless, very cool idea. I definitely recommend it for anybody like trying to get some new habitat ideas to do like one lowered into the ground. You'll see a couple of these like throughout my zoos. Down this way, I believe this is giant river otters. Yes, giant otters. Okay. I just want to point out one thing. I love the giant rhubarb plants. Probably one of my favorite plants in this game. It is just so amazing. Looks very like prehistoric, if that makes sense. But I just love like the big leaves. It just reminds me of like jungles. So it's so good. I have a whole bunch of these in here. But yeah, so this is giant river otters, or is it just giant otters? I believe. Yes, just giant otters. I'm not really sure what's going on over here with this glass and like brick. Um, but one of the highlights of this is like I started messing around with like underwater viewing areas. So kind of like adding some pathways going down into the ground to get like a underwater viewing experience. A very fun idea. A little challenging to do in this game when you're kind of new because you don't really understand how like staircases and barriers really kind of fit together. So, but if you can pull it off, it's a very cool thing. Highly recommend it. I have a couple, well, I just have like one viewing area for underwater, but it's very cool though. This one I started to use more like like rock walls. You can see a lot of those around here. And then just kind of like basic plants, like all placed practically out through this whole entire habitat. Very simple, nothing too crazy. Yeah, so trying to like lots of new things in the zoo. We're just kind of like testing out like, oh, this one for example is like an indoor kind of outdoor habitat. So I really tried to like challenge myself on this first zoo to kind of like learn the different styles and techniques. We have like a very basic building again with sand cats, I believe. Yes, sand cats. Very cute looking. I love them. They're great. These kind of like big furry faces. But yeah, this one is like an indoor kind of outdoor habitat, which I do really like having actually. I like having like an indoor section for the animals to kind of go in and get shelter from like the outside. So very cool. I just have like all of my staff buildings just like kind of thrown off to the side like in clumps. Here's all my workshops so I could research all of the different what is that? The mechanic research stuff. So moving on, we have another sunken down habitat. I'm not too happy about this one to be honest. I think it's like a little too low. But this is it should be wild dogs, I believe. But I don't know if I actually have any in here. Oh, there they are. They're eating. Oh, there's one of them over here. By a nice pile of poop. Lovely. We have some sleeping under the shade right here, but I've always kind of struggled doing like African safari habitats in this game, so I kind of got lost in this one. I wasn't really sure like how to decorate it with the plants, and I tried to do like some kind of rock structures and some caves, but I think it was a little too sunken down into the ground. I think I got a little carried away with that. Here's another like African habitat. Very simple, very plain. We have some southern white rhinos in here. Again, kind of using a lot of like the prefab structures. I haven't really gotten very comfortable at this point to like make my own like custom buildings, so I just kind of use a lot of like the prefabs just to like get stuff down. I think over here is oh yeah, we have some sloths. I love like their little like sloth like toaster oven right here. Little heater. They're very cute, kind of curl up in balls. You love them a lot. Moving on this way, we have red crown cranes. That's right. I tried to give them some like shallow water. It's like a little tricky sometimes, like getting like very shallow water in this game, but I try to do like some kind of shallow marshlands for this, but again, you can see it's very plain. Not a whole lot of like plants and trees, and it's very simple. This way is... what are these guys? The tapirs? We have the Malayan tapirs. And oh, we have some floating plants right there. Yeah, because you can see like my design was like very simple. I didn't really understand how to like decorate habitats yet. So you can see like the plants are very like sparse and not very like well placed. But still like a nice habitat nonetheless. And then over here is probably the best habitat in this area. I will say I did copy this idea from Few Candy. I'd watched her video and then wanted to kind of replicate that myself. So shout out to her. She helped a lot for kind of like getting different ideas for building a zoo when I first started. So I tried to kind of replicate her like caged lemur habitat. So you can see we have like a really kind of big cage right here with like trees kind of shooting upwards. It's a very cool looking design though. Like I love like the taller cages. And then over here is kind of like an indoor section and then like a shorter cage over here. and then kind of some indoor parts. Lots of like leaf litter and like different plants. I think this is looking pretty good with like the plant placement in here. Oh, there's one. I was looking for like the lemurs. We have one right there walking. Well, I guess like floating on some sticks and some roots of this tree, but yeah, it's like just like a very cool design. So I definitely recommend like doing like tall cages like this. Because I just love like the tall cage look with like trees inside. It's very cool. But yeah, that's the first zoo I ever made. So pretty simple. Lots of like prefab buildings and like very simple habitats. But let's move on and see what's next. I believe it's just called my second zoo, so we'll look out for that one. Oops, I accidentally closed out the game instead of going back to the main menu. I apologize. Let me hop back in game. I'm so sorry. Misclicked. But yeah, I'm trying to remember what I did for my second zoo and how that kind of went. Let's take a look real quick. Yes, Plumco's second zoo. Take a look at what we got going on here. And yeah, just kind of see like how I improved and how my style changed and the different decorations and pieces I used. I think I was still using prefab buildings at this point. I think I kind of took like a liking to the, yes, like the New World pieces. Like this kind of more like modern glass and wood design. So I have like a cool like little food court right here with some kind of guest facilities, little decoration in the center. So first habitat again, more more giant tortoises, but the Aldabra giant tortoises. And I just love this habitat. I think it did a very good job with it. I like the shape. I have like this kind of indoor shelter over here, but I'm a big fan of this like Oceania driftwood fence. I think it's like a really good fit with these like aquatic fill rocks. So I definitely tried to start like blending in the plants with the rocks for the zoo and like trying different designs and ideas with those. You kind of see like trying to make it a little more natural. Like the plants are kind of like growing out of the cracks of the rocks or like kind of meshing those two things together. Looks like a very good one though. I do love the shape of it. I think it's very cool. Very fond of this habitat. You can see I'm still kind of like clumping all of my like staff buildings like over the side, just kind of grouping them all together. Over here is a the sun bear, and I think I did a really good job with this habitat, to be honest. I think like all the plants are really good. Everything just looks very nice. And one thing I kind of started to do was I kind of like broke up my habitats by like these pathways. So you have like kind of the pathways that the animals walk on, almost to give it like trails that the animals kind of typically take to get to different sections of the habitat. So we have like their shelter and then trails leading towards like the climbing structures, to the water, to the food, to more climbing structures over here. So this kind of helps me like break up the habitat into different sections. So it's like, okay, I'm only gonna put plants in the areas where there isn't any pathways. So you can see like all the plants are kind of like grouped together and kind of like layered together in different sections. I started to use like a lot of like broken cherry blossom trees and kind of fallen logs to help like decorate like forest floors and get that vibe going. But yeah, I'm just like very happy. Kind of more rock walls. You see a lot of those. I have like a little kind of like cave viewing area over in this part, so you can kind of see like a covered area to view the sun bear's like little home that they sleep in. And we have some kind of climbing stuff back in this corner. But yeah, very good. Lots more plants. I've so kind of got more comfortable like putting a whole bunch of plants down and kind of like making things look nice. Yeah. Over here we have the greater flamingos, and I remember this habitat because I decorated this entire thing with like so many plants. Like I went like way overboard and I put the flamingos in and they didn't like it. They don't like a lot of plants and coverage. You can see like I'm right on the cusp of it, but I had to kind of like remove some stuff and I was very disappointed. I still think the habitat looks good. I like their kind of like indoor shelter right here and the whole like kind of curved shape of it, but um yeah, not as like planted as I like. But I do like the depth of the water is like very shallow with kind of like a deeper section over here, so I got good at kind of doing like shallow, like marshy, like ponds and lakes and water like that. Moving on this way, we have so many penguins. I think at one point I had like over 100 penguins in this habitat. They are just the African penguins, so they're a little tiny, very small, but very cool nonetheless. Lots of shelter for them. I think probably still not even enough. But yeah, I think like probably over 70 penguins in this habitat. Went a little crazy. They definitely breed out of control, but very simple. Couple palm trees, have some rock formations. Over here we have some like guest facilities and some little smaller exhibits. But this one, oh yeah, I didn't know they're like kind of underwater viewing experience right here that kind of like curves down. Little like guest shop right here for information center. And yeah, we like a nice like underwater section. Very plain, just kind of like the same texture for the terrain. Couple feeders, some little platform floats. And I think this is the final habitat over here, which is an orangutan habitat. I kind of modeled this after like a zoo that I've actually been to. There's kind of like an indoor section right here that leads into a kind of like below ground section. They have like a nice waterfall, like a little like wooden bridge going across. Again, kind of like dissecting the terrain and the habitat with like different pathways that the orangutans will kind of like walk and take. But this is a very cool one. I think this is the first habitat that I kind of tried to use like different terrain. So kind of see like different elevations and like slopes downwards, and there's like a little indoor section with some kind of viewing glass right there. Some more climbing stuff. Lots of climbing stuff in here. I quite like that. Very good, very good. I like the leaf litters, very nice. Like, I think I used the like prefab. I forget what they're called. I can try to find it real quickly, but there's like a prefab like jungle piece that I kind of used throughout this terrain. I don't know exactly what it's called. Let's see if I can try to find it really quickly. Yeah, it was like some sort of like nature scene. But it is very good. I highly recommend it for, yes, this one. This frame. I highly recommend this if you're making like jungles, because it is very good looking. And you can kind of like put a couple of them together and it looks like very natural and very good. So I love like the vines kind of leading back and forth and the roots like growing on the rock. So I think I used this like over in this corner maybe to kind of like fill in this section. It's very cool. It's a very good jungle. Kind of like layering different plants together and like rocks and leaf litter. So very good. Orangutans are one of my favorite animals, so I definitely have like a very fond appreciation for them. So yeah, this one's a bit smaller of a zoo. But let's go over to my third zoo and let's make sure we exit to main menu this time and not close out of the entire game. So let's go back to the main menu and see what I don't know if I called it my third zoo. I'm trying to remember what I called it. Let's see here. I believe it was my Australian zoo that I did next, actually. So I kind of like fell in love with the like Australian pack, and I wanted to do like an entire zoo just dedicated to like one region. I think I got like every single like Australian animal like in this zoo, I believe. Oh, I don't know entirely, but yeah, I kind of wanted to just like stick to like one kind of style and one theme for this zoo. So I'm just using the like Australia prefab buildings. I believe the first one, the first habitat is the koala. It's very iconic. Another kind of like sunken down habitat with a nice like mud wall right there. And I think for like these like overhanging shelters, I just used the like these ones, like these Australian shelters, and kind of like customized them so it can work as like a little like overhead kind of like awning for the guests. But very cool habitat. Definitely kind of like getting better and like more confident with plants. As you can see kind of like over my different zoos, I've started to use like more plants and kind of like blending different plants together, kind of like different heights of plants. I think it looks really nice as well. So like a very nice habitat, kind of like a mixture of like sand and grass and some kind of like climbing structures in the forefront, and then kind of in the background like a more kind of jungle like forested feel. Yeah, those are koalas, very lovely. They're kind of all sitting on the ground, which is very unfortunate. It'd be nice if they're kind of climbing the trees and sitting on the platforms, but have some. Oh, they're so happy looking. I love them. They're great. He's got like fluffy ears and a little baby right there, taking a little stroll. Okay. What's next? Oh yeah, we have the kiwis, I believe. This is a very cool habitat. I love this one. The shape is very nice. Another kind of like indoor section right here. And then yeah, the kiwis are very fun to like watch, like walk around. Such like like just crazy looking animal. Long beaks, like a very like kind of round egg-shaped body, but they're very fun to like watch, like run around. So if you've never done these in a zoo before, I definitely recommend them because they don't need a very big habitat. But you can do some fun stuff with like the different trees and all different like grass. And this is like the golden sand sedge, looks very nice, and different like ferns and rock formations. I love like the like, small animal burrows. Very good. This way is the wombats, the common wombats. So kind of like similar style to how I did um the North Island brown kiwis. Kind of like a curved shape, like a noodle shaped. And then for this one, I like putting the like burrows kind of like built into like rock walls. It looks very like natural and organic and looks very nice. So moving on this way, I have some dingoes. That's right. Like this is a very nice one because I'm kind of doing like different terrains, like different kind of slopes and different shapes with that. Lots of like nice kind of like rocky pools. Some good like kind of plants blended in. Little cave over in this section, which is quite nice. See what else we have going on. Like little food court, like plaza right here. Again, just kind of using like all of the like Australia Pack prefabs. This is Kawakas. Like kind of like an indoor viewing area for them. Right here, some kind of viewing domes. This is a very nice one. I like the trees are very cool with like kind of around this like water pool. Also have some like coastal pig face. There's kind of like some low ground coverage plants and using. Oh, that one's that's kind of floating. Okay, ignore that floating canopy. I think this one. Oh, it's floating too. Okay, lovely. So I guess my attention to detail wasn't very good, but I kind of used these like thatch roofs and unpainted timber pieces as kind of like a little kind of like sunshade like umbrella canopy thing. Very cool nonetheless. Over here is like a very basic habitat for some saltwater crocodiles. Nothing too complex. I'm not super proud of this habitat. I think it's very plain, but so I think the last habitat is a mixture of kangaroos and emus. I think this is my first. Oh my god, this guy's jumping on the rocks. Goodness gracious. I think this is my first like kind of multi-animal habitat. So we have two different species living in here together, which is quite fun. And then I tried to kind of do like some different like indoor viewing areas for this park. So you kind of get some inspiration behind that. Kind of doing some indoor areas. It's very simple, kind of like a very like grassy open field with some kind of sand like sprinkled through. I do love this kind of rocky pool right there. It's quite nice, and kind of have these like shelters like built into the rock walls, which are very good. Oh yeah, I forgot. I have like this kind of like exhibits. So I have like kind of Death Adders. I don't think all these are like Australian, but I wanted to pick like some kind of like Australia-like animals and kind of put them in this like kind of rocky exhibit wall. So very cool, very cool. I think this is all just like staff buildings, all kind of tucked there. This is a like a walkthrough kind of bat exhibit. I tried to do like a cave. It didn't really turn out that well. But that was like the main goal behind that. Okay, let's move on to what's next. Keep it going. See what's next on the list. Franchise. Let's go to, I think it was Plunko's New Zoo? Is what the next one was called? Yes, I believe it's called Plunko's New Zoo. So again, very interesting naming scheme. I'm not very creative. It's kind of one thing too, that kind of now that I mentioned that, I kind of struggle like being creative with this game. So I kind of like look at pictures online of like real life zoos or zoos that people have made like in game and try to like not necessarily like copy ideas from them, but kind of get some like inspiration and different things like I can try myself. Yeah, I think with this new zoo is like when I kind of felt more comfortable like building my own like prefab, not prefab, but building my own structures. We have like this kind of big like viewing dome right here for like different exhibits, kind of like a glass roof, and I try to get more creative and come up with like different shapes and styles, like doing my own kind of like staff buildings like all grouped together, which I think look really good. What's the first habitat? We have European badgers, I believe. I don't know if there's any in here right now. Might be like sleeping in there. Yeah, they're sleeping in their little burrows, but this is a very good one. I love like just how many plants I have and the whole look of things. Kind of using the like grass terrain to kind of like add some nature to things and kind of blend it in with different plants. I think I did a very good job with this. Again, I love like the burrows kind of built into rock walls is very cool. A little kind of like glass wall. It's kind of sunk it down a little bit actually. So the habitat's kind of like lower to the ground just a tad bit. Very nice. Over here is Eurasian lynxes. So we have this kind of like multi-terrained habitat with kind of like a pathway leading up to the rocky cliff sides. Little like kind of shelter right here, like built into the rock walls and a cave area. Some more water right there. Very good. I love like this shape of kind of like the pathway like twisting through these like kind of rocky like cliff sides is very nice. So big fan of this one. Over here is these guys, gray seals. So another like kind of underwater viewing area, but also kind of incorporating like a above ground, like an elevated viewing platform right here too. So kind of like a mixture of the two coming together quite nicely. Just like a very basic rocky habitat, nothing too complex or crazy, but this is quite good. Yeah, I'm a big fan of this kind of like underground pathway. And I think like what I did for that, just to kind of like offer like a little tip, if you want to do it yourself, I think I kind of did like a little stamp like that. So we'll say like right here is the pathway kind of like going through. And then up here will be like where the water is. And a big tip that I kind of learned is like when you're trying to do like staircases leading like downwards, have it kind of come off the edge like this first, and then build a pathway down below and have it like auto snap to build the staircase. It's not exactly perfect. I know pathways in this game are like a nightmare. But I found this to be like the best best way to do things is kind of have like your little overhang with the pathway like on ground level, and then try to kind of have like an auto-complete a staircase. I don't know why it's doing a pathway like that as opposed to stairs, but this is kind of like what I recommend to kind of make things easier as opposed to like trying to find some way to like have it go down to the ground. I guess that kind of worked actually. Okay, so maybe my my tip doesn't work all the time, but If you ever kind of like are struggling getting a staircase to like reach ground level, then maybe kind of work backwards and go from the ground to the top section by just having it like autocomplete. So hopefully that helps somebody. That's kind of what I did over here, and it helped a lot. That kind of below ground experience. Over here, oh my god, I remember this one. This one was a nightmare to make. Wow, this was a whole process, but I really wanted to do like my own kind of like cage that I'd make myself. And I remember like having to redo this like a dozen times to like make it bigger, and the raccoons didn't have enough space. But yes, this is a habitat for raccoons and skunks. We have like this indoor section in here with some climbing stuff and some of these like aquatic faux rock trees, and then over here an outdoor like cage section. So man, was this a process, but I'm really glad I did this. I'm glad I kind of like practiced and like built something like this, because it really helped kind of hone and like strengthen my building techniques. It's kind of getting like complex cages like this. So it looked very good in the end. I love the look of it. Very happy with how it turned out. I think this whole habitat just looks phenomenal. So very cool thing. But yeah, it's very hard to like line up different pieces and get angles right, and yeah, it's a big struggle. Moving on this way, we have a beaver habitat. With my favorite, I think I'd made like a beaver dam using lots of like broken Himalayan pines and different like fallen trees, and it looks incredible. I'm like so happy with how it turned out. I have like a little waterfall over here, like kind of below ground habitat with a kind of like covered bridge going through the entire like habitat. It's very cool. I do remember somebody telling me when I made this on stream that beavers don't like the sound of running water, which is why they kind of like build dams. So I apologize to you little beavers. If that is in fact true, then I imagine you probably hate the sound of this waterfall and these kind of like running water animations. So I apologize, little guys, but this is a phenomenal looking habitat. I love like the beaver dam right here. I think it looks so good. And you can see kind of like the difference in elevation with the water, so it kind of shows that this area has been kind of like dammed and pulled up. What else we got? We have like a caged Arctic fox habitat. I think I grabbed this from the Blueprint Workshop. I think it was I don't remember who made this. I apologize. I feel really bad I can't shut you out, but yeah, we have like this kind of circular Arctic fox habitat, some rocks, and kind of using this caribou moss to kind of fill in everything. So very cool looking. Lots of little babies. Looking good. This way. I think I kind of tried to like break up this zoo in like different sections. So you have like a temperate area. I think this is like South American. So yeah, I have like the maned wolf in this habitat. Yes, I believe this is like South American, and maybe like Oceania stuff like along this side. But here's the maned wolves. They're kind of like different elevations, like a little rocky pool down here, kind of broken sticks, using like the grass terrain to kind of like fill in different sections. Oh yeah, I have like their shelter kind of like built into the rock wall right there. They're like a little glass viewing area. This one is a very cool habitat. I love this. I started kind of messing around with like different vines, but this is capuchin monkeys, and I think there's an anteater running around somewhere in here. I don't quite know where it is, but I believe there's an anteater in here. Let's see if we can try to spot it. But I use these like different bamboos to kind of make my own like custom shelters for climbing stuff for the capuchin monkeys. It's very nice. Little kind of like river going through the front of the habitat as well. And then kind of having that river like extend through to like this section. So we have like a very shallow water for the cassowary. Lots of plants throughout here. I kind of like hiding the foraging boxes like in a lot of plants like this. I think it looks very good. So I'm a big fan of kind of making that seem more natural. But very shallow water kind of up in front, and then like plants all in the back. This one is very cool. I tried to do like a one of my viewers had like an idea of doing like a volcano um Tasmanian devil habitat. So I tried to do like some sort of like lava pool with all of these like molten lava pieces and different like cooled lava rocks. It's very cool. Definitely like a fun idea to do. And this habitat has like a very nice rock wall, but also has a a bat exhibit like inside of it. I learned if you kind of add like these, what are these called? Like these guest gates, I believe. Yes, the small guest gates. You can have exhibits like inside of a habitat. So we have like kind of bats fluttering around in here. I used like the kind of like nun walls to make it invisible. And we have bats, and they'll stay contained in this little exhibit inside this habitat. So it's very cool. And I think the guests, as long as it's still within like viewing, area and distance, the guests will still see the bats and kind of comment on those. So it's a very fun idea. I recommend trying it. You just need to make sure you have like a guest gate kind of leading into the exhibit, like a separate entrance so the zookeepers can like walk in and actually access this. Because I think if you just have the habitat gate, they won't be able to kind of like walk in and go in there. Over here we have little penguins, I believe. Yes, little penguins. This is a kind of Oceania themed another kind of underwater viewing area, and then using like all the Oceania prefab buildings to kind of fill in all these sections. Very cool, very cool. Oceania shipwreck right there. And small keeper huts. Okay, leading this way. I tried to do like a jungle like a jungle temple themed habitat for, I believe we have jaguars in here. So using like a lot of the prefab like ruin pieces and then kind of incorporating lots of Spangler figs, lots of plants. And you can see how I kind of like got addicted to plants a little bit as I started to get better at this game. Kind of just like layering different plants together and different types and different kinds and different like heights. Very cool. We have like a little shelter kind of tucked back here. It's like an additional section. Some nice climbing structures. Yeah, like a little zookeeper area back here. Little staircase kind of leading to a door. Very nice. This way, oh yeah, the best. We have Monkey Island. So I think there is Thai monkeys in here. And then also gibbons. Yes, so gibbons and Thai mangs in this like little like Monkey Island. This habitat is so loud. These monkeys are just like nonstop yelling and howling and just like screeching. But I just like love the look of this. I did like a lot of vines, lots of climbing structures. It's very cool because the monkeys will like climb on all of these vines. So if you take a look at their like traversable area, you can see that they can climb on all of these different like vines and like platforms and rocks and shelters, and it's so cool to like watch them like interact with this habitat because it is like so much fun stuff they can do in here. So I love the shape of it. I love like having kind of this water pool like around all the rocks. I've seen in zoos do this a lot actually, where they have kind of like water to kind of add like a natural barrier from the animals to like the guests. So it's a very nice idea. Kind of incorporate that. Over here we have like another little cage that I tried to do for pangolins. It's like a kind of like an indoor, outdoor, kind of very similar to the raccoons and skunks over there. They're kind of like this mixed habitat. Very nice. Very nice. Um, this one is, oh yeah, my favorite animal, the Indian elephants. Um, this is a big one. We have like a kind of a big river over on this side, kind of like burying, kind of like acting as a natural barrier for like this heavily jungled area. And then kind of as you get further into the habitat, it kind of becomes more like open, like kind of grassland and like bush area. Here's my little like kind of elephant like village over here with some different like shelters for them to sleep in. I tried to make like a little like some sort of like kind of fishing hut, like dock area right here. There's like a waterfall over in this corner. And then there is a little restaurant. So the conservation restaurant right here, kind of overhanging and looking out into the habitat. Kind of like a nice eating experience. We could look out and see the elephants roam around. It's a very good one. I love like this kind of heavily like forested area over on this side with the jungle. And then kind of like the transition into more like grassland. A nice like mix of two different like types of biomes. We have this jungle and then grassland right there. Very cool looking. Also like multiple viewing areas. We have like one kind of from this area into the habitat, and then a couple like over here from this side. This is a panda habitat, which is very lovely. Lots of like thick bamboo, some kind of like low grounds for eating areas. Like this kind of panda shrine over here with some kind of misty water. Very nice. Look at them. Oh, they're so lovely. It's so cool to watch like eat. Such like an incredible animal. Big fan of these guys. Oh, this way like another like little low grounds. Oh, like an elevated viewing platform right here to kind of look into the habitat. I love this this like climbing structure right here, and this kind of like wooden shelter is very cool. Big fan of this. All right, this is my first attempt at like a zoo like kind of ride tour in this kind of like massive African habitat. Lots of different species in here. I think Nile lechwe, we have blue wildebeest, we have rhinos, zebras. I think there's should be some giraffe somewhere, which is very cool. So like a big mixture of a whole bunch of different types of animals. So I try to do like a very big like African safari habitat. Still not the best at like decorating the habitats quite yet. I kind of struggled to like figure out how to make it look like a grassy kind of like African plain, because a lot of the animals don't really like a whole bunch of plants. Like their tolerance for coverage is pretty low, so I just try to find like a nice balance, and I just wasn't really sure how to decorate it other than just kind of adding like different trees and kind of some rolling hills and rock formations, and have some like water over here and another pool over here. So I think it looks very cool. I love like the massive like mixture of different species, but yeah, it's very lovely. Very lovely. Okay. Let's see what is next. I think I might actually break this up into two different parks. It's been about like 45 minutes or so. So I still have a couple more zoos to show off. We have the Desert Zoo, E-Conservation Park, the Haunted Zoo, the Tundra Zoo, and Is It Giving Norway. So we have a couple more zoos to tour, but I think I might put that in part 2. So I think that kind of ends this video. Thank you everyone so much for watching. I hope you kind of got some inspiration from this game and from my zoos, and kind of, yeah, had fun like looking at my like progression through this game. I think I've improved even more as I kind of got to these like different zoos. So definitely felt more comfortable like using plants a lot in my zoos, and kind of like learning how to layer those in habitats and kind of mix those with like rocks, which is very cool. And then I felt kind of more comfortable like making my own structures. So instead of doing like prefab stuff, like making cages and staff buildings and like kind of indoor like terrariums. So lots of like very interesting ideas. I hope you kind of found stuff that you guys can take to your zoos. But yeah, thanks for watching part 1. I hope you'll come back for part 2, because I think in my opinion, it just gets better and better. And like my desert zoo is probably one of my best. Like Is It Giving Norway is incredible. The Tundra Zoo and Haunted Zoo are also just amazing. So get very excited for the next part. Yeah, so I hope you all enjoy the rest of your day, and I hope to see you all in part 2. Thanks for watching, everybody.